to this week's episode of Online Store Success. Today, I have a very special guest. I've got Kaity here with me from Sunday Digital. Kaity is a Google Ads expert, and I myself have done Kaity's course, and it was phenomenal. And today, she's going to share a little bit about her business journey and also how you can get started with Google Ads for your business. So welcome, Kaity. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. We've been looking forward to it for a while.
We have, and we were supposed to chat last week, but we've all been struck down with different illnesses and things like that. But we're back and we're all healthy and we are good to go. So I want to try something new. And I have actually heard this from someone else's podcast. I am stealing it, but it's a great idea. And I want to get to know Kaity, and I want our listeners to get to know you as well. And so what I want to do, I want you to share with me 2 truths and a lie. So feed me 3 pieces of information, and I've got to try and guess which is truth and which is a lie.
Okay. And there's not going to be like a consequence. Like if you don't get it right, then I get kicked off the podcast.
Right. Okay. It's just me looking silly mostly.
Okay, great. No, that means my lies are well hidden.
Yes, that's right. So hit me.
Okay, so my 3 statements are: 1, I've never been to Western Australia. 2, okay, my digital agency is named after my favorite day of the week, which is Sunday Digital.
Okay.
And the 3rd one is I became an auntie at 9 years old. What is the lie?
Which is the lie? I feel like the digital agency is named after your favorite day of the week. Sunday's a good day.
Okay, so that's the truth.
Awesome.
As in, like, are you saying that's the truth?
Yeah, I believe that's a truth.
Okay.
Western Australia. I've never been to Western Australia. It's quite far from New South Wales. You're in Victoria, aren't you?
I'm Victoria, so it's quite far. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that that's a truth.
Okay.
And then the last one was you became an auntie at 9 years old. I'm going to say that's a lie.
No, I did. I became an auntie at 9 years old.
Oh my
God. Digital agency is named after my daughter. My daughter's name is Sunday. So we call her Sunny. But yeah, her full name is Sunday. So I named it after her.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I was totally off.
That's okay.
No, I love it. And like I said, it's a fun little game for us to get to.
Yeah. It took me a while to think of them. I was like, because you don't want them to be so obvious, like, that it's like, that's the glaring lie.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm actually taking it as a win that I managed to fool you.
Yeah, you totally got me. I love it. So tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you end up with Sunday Digital?
Yeah, so I was a former e-commerce business owner. About 10 years ago now, I had an online store, and a little bit over 10 years ago, probably, I was always really interested in the e-com space and digital. Prior to that, I helped get an online pharmacy up and running, and I sort of managed that while I was going through uni. And then really just loved online sort of stuff. So while I was at uni, decided to start my own side hustle as a e-com business. And as other e-com business owners know, you're wearing all the hats when you run your own store. So you're trying to figure out, particularly when you're bootstrapping, you're trying to figure out how to do SEO and how to get more people to the site. And through my stumblings through those different, platforms of SEO and Facebook ads, and I stumbled across Google Ads via a podcast. I think I was trying to upskill on that. And it was something that I just really fell head over heels in love with. I really loved the data aspect and the fact that you could really clearly track things and see what keywords. I found that level of insight really addictive. And I had a baby at the time. I had my first child while I was running that business, and I kind of needed a step back. I didn't want to be a business owner anymore. So I sold that business and I moved agency land, which most people think agency is quite full on, which it can be, but the one I was at was really family friendly. And so it was specifically focused on Google Ads. So it's a Google Ads agency. And I was there for a few years, really loved it, got to work with some amazing brands. I was the account manager for Shopo, mentioning Jane Lou. Yeah. I was the account manager for Shopo for a number of years, Swimwear Galore, a lot of big e-com brands, both in Australia and overseas, and loved every minute of it. And then I had my second baby, and I was in that common push-pull between, so I want to be commuting every day. At this stage we'd moved, I'll be commuting probably an hour and a half every day both ways. how do you make that work? My first child was approaching school age. Like, how does this actually work? Do you get to work at like 10:30 and leave at 1 o'clock to be able to pick up your child from school? It was just all going through my mind. So I decided to start my own agency, which was Sunday Digital, with also the goal to have a course to the business to be able to upskill other people, whether they were the ecom business owner that I was a decade ago, or whether it's the freelance digital marketer that wants to add another service to their offering, or in-house agency teams that we train via our course to be able to upskill other people on how to run profitable, successful Google Ads.
Incredible. What was your e-commerce business? What was your product?
It was a health food store. So it was not I think it's also trickier when you're a stockist of other people's brands because the margins are smaller. So that was one factor that does impact when you're running paid ads. But it was a health food store, and yeah, I ran that for a couple of years. Really, really loved it, but just loved Google Ads more.
It's so funny, isn't it? I guess my story is quite similar. And then I had the e-com store and found the thing that I loved the most was the digital marketing, and particularly the Facebook ads. And my business got to a point where I had all of these team members and had to manage them, and we had an office and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't even get time to do the Facebook ads much anymore. Instead, I'm a people manager and a HR manager and all this sort of thing. So I can totally relate. And it's so weird that we're doing something today as our business. You're a Google Ads coach and agency, and I do Facebook ads coaching and ecom coach. Like, these things didn't even exist 15 years ago. I terrified, but also honored. My old high school messaged me last week to come in and talk to year 10 kids about, my career and whatnot. And I was thinking, when I was sitting there in that hall, Facebook didn't even exist,
No.
right? So it's really, really interesting that the different careers that, have appeared and like I geek out on the Facebook. I geek out on the numbers and the analytics in Facebook, but I also love the creative piece because I get to do a bit of both. My creative brain and my analytical brain get to come together and do something all under the one house. So, but I haven't wrapped my head around Google Ads so much, interestingly. So it's like
on
SEO.
that, like, yeah, SEO to me is a black box. Like, I'm not an SEO expert, but because people lump sort of Google as one bracket, Google's the platform, but the skill or the tool is different in SEO versus Google Ads. And like, I'll be the first to admit that SEO is like straight over my head. But funny that you mentioned you like the creative side of Facebook. Like, that's the side I don't like. I don't like that. When I'm talking creative, I mean creative as in ad creative. Like, that's the part that really stumps me. I'm not a real visual type person. So Facebook ads, I really enjoy the data side, but the creative side is what is probably lends me more towards the Google Ads side of things. And I get that creative fix through strategy rather than, you would too, but as in like, I get that fully through strategy rather than, I don't want any visuals.
Pretty ad. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I know, it's so funny, isn't it? So I know you have a few different programs, and I actually enrolled. It was years ago. It was when I had Art & Co, when I had my ecom, and I actually want to dip back into it. I need a bit of a refresher.
But tell me, so you can.
I know, which I love. And I side note, I've seen someone the whole lifetime access thing is like a challenge as a course creator, right?
Yeah.
However, I really appreciate that I've got lifetime access in yours because it's something that you can dip in and dip out of. So that's, really, really exciting. But what I think, was it profitable promotion that I would have done?
Yeah. That's the one you would have done. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can share some more information about that at the end of our chat, and I'll share the link and everything to that, because if you're an e-commerce business owner and you want to tap into the power of Google Ads, definitely check out Kaity's programs. And I think you've got like a mini one, don't you? Like a little...
Yeah, I sort of have a $30 entryway product that's a lot of module 1 of the course, but it's really designed, it's a twofold product. In one, it gives you a lot of the foundational theory aspects of Google Ads. It's not going to get you running an ad by any means, but it gives you also the tools to be able to say, is this something I should focus on now, or should I go forth and do, a bigger course or hire someone? Like, is this the right thing? Because I'm very upfront that Google Ads is not, like you would know with Facebook ads, it's not a magic pill. It won't work for everyone. And educating clients or customers before they sign on and buy a $2,000 course, educating students before that, say, hey, it's actually probably not for you, is just as important as us saying, this is for you. So, yeah.
And that's the thing. It's not only the cost of the course. You don't want people to go all in on some sort of paid ads if their business is ready for it, if it's not the right path for them. So I'm the same. I have like a little mini one ad wonder course. Mine's 97. It's a little taste test. But yeah, I think that's really important because not all businesses are ready yet necessarily for paid ads. If you've got a conversion issue on your website, well, no matter how much traffic you send to your site, that's not going to fix that, right? Instead, it's just going to really hurt your bank account negatively.
Well, it's like having an ad, selling your house and it's a dump, and then saying it didn't sell because the agent's not doing their job.
Yeah.
Well, the agent's getting people to it, but if the house is pilot like a dump, it's not going to sell. So, or if the price is too high, or if you can't get in the entryway, like if there's all these hurdles to actually getting in the house and checking it out, or if you've got like, you haven't cleaned up the yard. If these are all things that are outside of my control as an ads manager, it's better off you don't spend your money on the course because you're not going to get the results. So, I think that's a really integral part of running ads.
100%. I love that. I love that. So tell me, I mean, I have a little bit of an idea of the different types of ads available. Like I said, it's been a little while since I've dipped into it, but I do want to dip into it again, even for my coaching business. But tell me some of the different types of Google campaigns that you'd suggest for e-com business owners.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward when it comes to e-com. Not necessarily straightforward in execution, but in terms of strategy-wise, there are really two main campaigns that you'll be focusing on. And one is a shopping-based campaign, whether that be through what's called a traditional shopping campaign that I believe are getting phased out, or a performance max campaign, which is it's a new campaign type in the last 2 years that incorporates your shopping element. So you've kind of got one or two choices there, performance max or shopping. So a shopping campaign, and then also, and they're those product listing ads that you see, they've got the image, the price, that you see on Google that you'll likely be clicking on when you're shopping.
Yeah.
And then you've got your search campaigns, which are keyword-based campaigns. You put in the keywords that you want Google to show ads against when someone searches for something, and they're the text-based ads. They're really the two common, what I call strategy or profitable campaign types for e-com. I think often agencies or ads managers, or even, well, mostly Google, try to make it really confusing by wanting you to start a YouTube campaign and a cold traffic display campaign and, all the bells and whistles and everything like that. And my focus is, let's get search and shopping, which is your bread and butter. That's when someone's searching on Google, and that's when you're showing them that ad. Let's get that, nailed down before we start expanding out, because the power of Facebook is much stronger when it comes to that cold traffic demand generation, or that awareness generating ads with like images and videos, all those sort of creative types that just don't work as well on Google. So I sort of say, save that interruption style marketing for your Facebook and use that really demand capturing when someone's on Google searching. That's the bread and butter of Google. So usually shopping and search, like keyword-based campaigns.
For the Performance Max, so that's what you'd call shopping, I remember setting up those and they were quite easy to set up and thinking, oh, this is easy, versus the keyword, that they seemed a bit more complex. But for the shopping campaigns, for the Performance Max, what sort of audiences can you show those to? And is it based just on search? Like if someone searches for that kind of product, or is it just pops up everywhere based on the audience?
So that's where Google have made this big change, because keyword-based campaigns are a lot trickier to get off the ground. You've got to do your keyword research, and, it can be hard to make them work. So Performance Max is really a catch-all campaign where it can be shopping and search and remarketing brought up into one. So in terms of that, Google is using your product feed for information as data points to be able to identify who they should be showing your products and offerings to. And then also you layer across audiences in the absence of keywords. So it's not a keyword-based campaign. That's got a downside in that it can be less targeted and more broad, but there's ways to kind of optimize and get around that. But yeah, so you layer across audiences, whether that be audiences that you own, so first-party data in the form of like a customer match list from Klaviyo, or whatever. And then we've also got audience, interest-based audience, similar to that you would have on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So that involves like people, if you're sell wedding, something in the wedding industry, you've got bridal wear or wedding accessory type audiences. So Google are getting more clever when it comes to Performance Max, but keyword campaigns still have a really big place inside an account strategy, because, not to get too technical, but you don't get search term data inside a Performance Max campaign for the most part.
Okay.
So what that means is I can't see the searches that have cost me a lot of money and not converted, and I can't see the searches that have generated a lot of conversions. Now, that's key optimizations that you can use to build out both keywords and negative keywords. So both attract people and block people from seeing your ads. So keyword-based campaigns still have that a lot more data insights, which is why they're really valuable to continually build out an account. Performance Max are great, but they offer you less insight.
Got it. I sometimes, and I think I maybe use this example probably more for SEO, because I work with a lot of fashion brands, right? And one of my best-selling products in Island Co was this leopard print kimono. And I would use the example of like, which sort of, what should I be focusing on? Is it Facebook ads? Is it SEO? Is it Google ads? And it's like, I would often say, are people searching for the thing? Because if people aren't generally searching for a leopard print kimono, for example, instead, that's why I was using a lot of Facebook ads to have it appear in their feed and go, here's a leopard print kimono, you need this in your life. And that's how we would make our sales, versus relying on people searching for that particular product. So the Performance Max would be kind of like a bit of both, would it?
No, it'd still be relying on people searching for it. So okay. I fully say that if people aren't searching for your products at all, Google Ads isn't the right platform. Yeah. That doesn't mean that they're like in this case, I would say that's still a candidate for Google Ads, because it's but make sure you're using those really niche keywords like leopard print kimono. There still would be search volume behind that, which makes it a candidate for Google Ads. But if it was something like, something so abstract that it isn't, people don't actually know. I'll use an example. I was on a podcast last week, and she offers outsourced operations management or outsourced systems kind of COO type services. And she was asking whether Google Ads would be a good fit for her. And I said, are people aware that that's a missing hole in their business? Or do you need to actually come in before, like, are they aware they've got a problem? Or do you need to convince them that they have a problem and that you're the solution? An example is my own business, in that I don't use Google Ads to build my own business, because often people aren't Googling Google Ads mini course or Google Ads 12-week course, whatever it is. They haven't recognized that's something that they need to solve, a problem they need to solve. But I can show a Facebook ad and get around that by saying, hey, I'm here. Have you thought about Google Ads? Learning more about Google Ads. So you're getting around the awareness issue. So I would still say for most e-com businesses, probably 95%, there's the demand and the awareness that they've got a problem, because they're looking for a particular style or a particular product. People are looking for those sort of things. So a combination of both Facebook and Google usually works well. But there are some there are some instances where it's like, I just don't think people. A student of mine was, she was offering a puzzle hiring service, and it was a service that someone wasn't familiar with yet and wasn't Googling. That is not a good candidate necessarily for Google Ads, because if no one's aware of what you're selling, you might have the highest budget and the best ads, but no one's searching for it.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. Okay, I'm glad that I've kind of gotten that's the conclusion that I came to in my mind, and I'm not steering people in the wrong direction. So for an e-com business, let's say people are searching for the thing that they're selling. What's if you had to pick one campaign, Performance Max versus keywords, which would it be?
I usually like going down a shopping avenue first. And I was just having this discussion with my students. We're about to end our last cohort of this year. And we were having this discussion because normally I say start shopping first. It's a shopping focused ads. It's got a visual element when you're looking particularly to buy something. And especially if it's in the fashion or the homewares or something like that, you actually want to see the style before you click through. Because again, you could be bidding on something and show a text-based ad. They might get to it and be like, that's not what I had in mind. You've already qualified those people with the image on the ad with a shopping ad, right? So I usually say start with shopping first. There are situations where shopping doesn't work as well as keyword-based campaigns. And I had this instance with a student of mine that sells nappy swimwear for kids between 0 and 5. And because in a shopping campaign, you don't use keywords, you use a product feed, Google were entering her in all these auctions for like teen swimwear, 10-year-old swimwear, bikinis. And she had to continually craft and optimize the campaign to get rid of these irrelevant type search terms. Yep. Whereas in a keyword-based campaign, Google are using the keyword rather than the product feed.
Yep.
So there are, if you're super niche and you've got a super niche target market, keyword might be better, but I would most of the time say start with a shopping-based campaign and then let's build from there.
Awesome. What do you think about bidding on someone else's brand name? I actually have had this where a student of mine was actually bidding against my ecom brand name at the time. What's your thoughts on that? You know, say you're a Showpo, you know, you sell online fashion for that same demographic as Showpo, and so you start bidding on the Showpo's keyword. Is that a good idea or not?
So I'll give you, first of all, I would say with the student of yours or whoever was bidding on your name, they might not have been directly bidding on your name. Google uses a lot of creative liberty if you've got keywords set up in a certain way, that if I bid on, say, if they were bidding on something like an e-commerce coach, if someone types in Jodie Minto e-commerce coach, she's eligible to show that ad. Mm-hmm. So she might not have directly entered your name as a keyword, just to ease your mind that might not be.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
And there's also something called dynamic keyword insertion, where if you do some, funky things with your ads, if someone searches for your keyword, you can dynamically enter that keyword into the ad copy, which basically makes it more clickable because they see their keyword reflected in their ad copy. I never advise to have them in what I call competitor campaigns, because you don't want to be seen to be having not only bidding on someone else's name, but have their name in your ad copy. That's not a good look.
Yeah.
And you might not be doing it intentionally. So they're two things. Back in my Showpo days, when I was their account manager, a lot of their big competitors, there was a gentleman's agreement not to bid on each other's names. So we didn't. Mm-hmm. My philosophy is always look at things like a bullseye, in that people searching for your brand name will always be the warmest, or a funnel, right? Mm-hmm. The most likely to convert will be the people searching for your own brand name. Second up the funnel are people that are problem and solution aware, but they haven't decided on you or your competitor yet. So they're just searching for the generic version of what they're looking for. And then third up the rung is your competitor campaigns, whereas bidding directly on a competitor that sells the same thing as you. And I always say, A, you can bid on anyone's name, just don't have it in the ad copy. But B, don't test those campaigns out until you've exhausted the potential in both your brand and non-brand campaigns, because competitor will always be the lowest to convert. It's the flip side of a brand campaign. They've already decided on someone else. They're already typing that into Google. You have to work extra hard, and a lot of the clicks you get are probably just going to be clicks that they thought were going to the actual person's page. So I don't run a lot of competitor campaigns inside my own client accounts. We might have one across our portfolio of, say, 25 accounts. And they're not a strategy that I recommend at the beginning. It's an expansion growth testing strategy, and they're really hard to make profitable because, like I said, they've already decided on the other person and you're having to sway them away from that. You can bid on anyone's name regardless of whether it's trademarked or not, but it's a violation to have a trademarked name in your ad copy. Right. So they're my thoughts on that. But I would say that Google use a lot of their own intuition, and it's not necessarily, if you see someone bidding on your name or if you see their ad when you search for your name, it doesn't by default mean that they've selected you as a keyword.
Okay, that's really comforting to know, because I was horrified. It was on a live call and I was like, oh, that's like what happens when I Google Island Co. And lo and behold, one of the students on the call, an ad pops up. But we both sold resort wear, so perhaps that was what was
it could be. Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Or she could have just been bidding on your name.
Or she could have been. I thought it was very cheeky. Tell me, what's a good sort of daily budget to start out with, especially like talking about those shopping campaigns, if that's their first dipping their toe in the ocean of Google Ads? What would you sort of recommend as a starting bid?
Starting budget, I would always say, like, for the typical type person that's running their own ads, $10 to $20 a day is kind of the amount you need to be able to test things out. When it comes to what's a good budget, I always am like, it depends on the factors of the business. And, if you sell, we've got a client that sells pieces that are over $1,000. And it's like, if you're going to spend $10 on ads, you can't expect to convert someone on $1,000. So it depends on what's the products, what's your conversion rate, what's your lifetime value, all those sort of things play into that. But at a base level, you kind of need to give a campaign between $10 and $20 a day to get to actually get into gear, and to start to see what keywords are working, what keywords aren't working, what products are working, what products aren't working, to be able to have those data points to make the decisions. But then in terms of overall, what's good budget, one that's meeting your goals. What's a bad budget is one that's not meeting your goals. It's an optimization tactic.
Yep, got it. Tell me, what are some of the frequent mistakes people make with Google Ads?
Using all broad match keywords. Broad match is just adding, let's say resort wear, meaning Google can bid on, with match types, there's 3 main match types. Exact match is tightly controlled. They'll only go after resort wear and close variations. Phrase match gives it a little bit more liberty, can go after a resort wear and also anything at the front or back. So it could be anywhere in the phrase that they're searching. And broad match is basically telling Google, like, go ham, go after anything you think is modestly related to resort wear. Most accounts that we come across that are performing shockingly have got a bunch of broad match keywords, no conversion tracking set up, and it's done by an agency. Like, this is an agency strategy that is really commonly executed, in that it's not understanding that to get the best results, you need to actually understand or figure out how someone's searching for you, and not being lazy and just slapping some broad match keywords and calling it a day. It's the akin to, in Facebook ads, just targeting no audience. You're telling Google, you're not giving Google any opportunity to say, this is who you should go after. So, yeah.
Funnily enough, though, Facebook actually wants us to use broad targeting.
I know they do.
And it works really well in 99.9% of the accounts.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I should say, though, that's an account that probably has good history, I would say, behind it, or at least some, like, Google does need, broad match is, again, an expansion tactic that we employ with our clients when we've exhausted the potential of phrase and exact match, because it's a way of us building up an account and saying, let's start nice and tight, let's build up, and then let's get even more. Once we know it's working, then we can turn the tap on a little bit more.
Awesome. Tell me, what are some easy wins, if any, on Google Ads?
Easy wins would be get your tech set up right from the start, as in get conversion tracking set up. If it's on Shopify, get it so that Google Ads is communicating the exact dollar figure that their ads have caused. Like, you can't make good decisions and optimizations without good data. So that's my number one thing, is get your conversion tracking set up, so that you are able to A, take what the data's telling you as correct, and then B, make smart decisions from that and optimize against it. It all comes back to accurate data.
So good. It's like running Facebook ads without your pixel installed on your website.
Exactly.
Not a great idea. And is it really possible to learn and manage your own Google Ads?
100%. Like I just said, I've got a cohort of students going through the course at the moment, and we're ending our support period this week. And there's a student on there that she has never stepped foot in an ad account again, the person that sells the infant swimwear. And she's set her ads live maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. She's had like 4 or 5 sales already, and learning so much. It's like learning a new language, right? Learning how to interpret numbers, tell stories from them, make decisions from them. The skills that can lend itself to other areas of your business as well is really powerful. But also, so it's super not easy, because it's a skill that you need to learn, and it's a steep learning curve if you haven't got any experience in metrics and paid ads in particular. But it's a totally learnable skill. And if I look back at this student 12 weeks ago, and she was like, I don't even know how to log into my Google Ads account. And now she's like, I was thinking about doing this optimization. Is that what you would do? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Like, let's do it. And yes, learning it might be an investment. For my course, it's an investment, but the payoff is that she doesn't have to outsource and pay someone $1,000 a month. And she's able to make the cost up front in paying for the education, but then get the benefit long term of only having the ads as her expense rather than the ads plus a management fee.
100%. I'm the same with my Facebook ads programs as well, because it's, Facebook ads often is like $2,000, $3,000 a month, forever if you want someone else to manage them. So an upfront investment in learning how to manage your own paid ads yourself is, when you look at the long-term savings, is incredible. Also, if your business does get to a point where you want to outsource any sort of paid ads, at least you have a really good understanding and you can be fully aware of what the agency is doing for you. You can see the numbers for yourself and know whether or not they're doing a good job, right?
Agreed. 100%. It becomes a very valuable project management skill when you do outsource, not just on the Google Ads side, but if you do Facebook ads as well, you can actually understand and sort of call through the BS a little bit. Like, I don't think that's right. Or I think you're telling me a few things that don't seem right. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. So tell me, if someone is like, right, I'm ready to learn all things Google Ads, how can they work with you? What's the best entryway for them to start getting into the world of Google Ads?
Yeah, so there's a few ways. I have a free keyword video series. I do need to update it though. It's still very relevant, that there's just a few technical terms that need to be updated in there, but that is free on my website. And that gives you an overview on sort of keyword research, the different areas of what a keyword is. And that's free. There's also a $30 boot camp. And that is, like I said before, about module 1 of my course, gets you a really solid understanding about what Google Ads is and if it is the right next move for your business. And then that leads into making a decision about my full course, which I take 1 to 2 intakes a year. And that's only open at certain times of the year for enrollment. So our next intake isn't until mid next year, early to mid next year. We haven't locked in a date yet, but they're kind of the 3 main ways of upskilling at a couple of different entry points.
Amazing. I have this problem too with courses, right? Because mine are 12 weeks. When do we run them?
I know.
Try to fit them in school terms, which doesn't fit work because school terms are 10 weeks.
I know. And also over Christmas time and blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the constant need, like, I think Google's a little bit more update heavy because they change everything. I mean, Facebook do too, but I have to update content all the time. So I've got to give myself breathing room to be able to actually go in and make sure the videos are all refreshed and ready to go.
And your profitable promotion program is so comprehensive. Like, there is so much in there. So much. And you even cover things, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, like the Google Merchant Center, how to connect it all.
Yeah, I connect basically anything you'll need to know in order to run ads from the very beginning to the very end. And we've had quite a few ecom people that have been ecom business owners, and it's quite funny. Then they've been like, oh, I love this Google Ads thing. And they've either transitioned to be like working in an agency, or then they've run their own freelance business. So I've converted other people into Google Ads lovers as well that had no experience prior. So try and teach it in a way that is not scary and not, takes the jargon out of things and just makes it really understandable and broken up into bite-sized bits. The flip side is there's a lot to learn. So I try and make it as comprehensive as possible. But the goal isn't that you're going to learn this once and then never use it again. It's that back pocket resource that you've always got when you need to jump into your ad account. Yeah, it's so valuable. It's so valuable. But yeah, thank you so much. You've shared so much today that is probably included in your paid programs. And I really appreciate you being so generous with your information, because I know I'm like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much today in our very short time together. So I really, really appreciate you joining me. Thank you so, so very much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really great to be on your program. Thank you. And I will share all of the links to Kaity's programs and website in the show notes of today's episode. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next week on Online Store Success. Bye for now.